Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of TCE Talks. It has been a while, apologies for that. I've just been working so hard. I literally had 6 weeks in over September and well, October, where I had like 1 or 2 afternoons off in that whole period. So things have got a bit wild. Just doing lots of playing. I've been doing lots of playing in all different styles of music and recording with a band. And yeah, just, I've got a few pupils that I teach every week, and I'm still answering emails about the TCE all the time, and, texting people who are sort of having an informal sort of lesson sort of set up. So, I'm available for answering questions and that sort of thing. I'm just not really having the time to do the YouTube. It's been really tough for the last, well, basically a year, because my job keeps me super busy. It's just the way it is. So, the subject of today's little chat kind of relates to exactly my experience over the last couple months, and that is applying the TCE to different styles of music. This is something that's always been a bit of it's a topic that comes up all the time. It's a question that always gets asked when people first discover the TCE. And I think that, when you honestly, if you look at the materials online of the, videos that Jerome Khaled put out during his lifetime, and other people have put out since, what you see is people playing in quite a specific way that many would just have a knee-jerk reaction to and say, well, that's not musical. And I understand why they say that. Having learnt the technique myself, as a when I was already a professional musician, having learnt the technique myself, and sort of seeing how vastly different it was from all the things I had done up to that point and been taught. There is a lot of thinking that needs to be done. I think something I constantly come back to with trumpet practice and TCE is that you are teaching yourself. You can go and have lessons with great players and great teachers, and all they can really do is provide you with information and guidance. It's still your responsibility to do the work, to do the practice every day. And, honestly, to make decisions about whether or not you feel that something is taking you in the right direction. And, for me, TCE did take me in the right direction. It was absolutely a really good decision for me to get into this stuff. I think that one of the things that TCE did for me was sort of just open my mind to different possibilities. It gave me the opportunity to understand efficiency, really, to start to explore how to use different equipment. I was one of these typical people who, I'd played on a 1.5C for years, and then I got I downsized to a 3C when I started doing a lot of more commercial playing. And I would always say, oh, I can't play any shallower than that because my lip touches the cup. And the thing is with Jerome Khaled is he was very plain about it. It was just like, well, you blow too much and then your lip collapses into the cup. When I look back at how I used to play before TCE, it's unbelievable how I would use twice or three times the quantity of air to achieve the same thing. And this is something that gets argued about quite a lot, especially in online forums when people make a statement like that. But the thing is, it's not to say that TCE requires less air. It's that everybody is overblowing. Everyone is overblowing as a direct result of current pedagogy. That's just, that's what's going on there. And so, having learnt the TCE, I could now go back to playing on much larger equipment. And, I have done a little bit this year, just for a period of time for my own exploration. And and I didn't get the same results as the first time when I was playing on large equipment, because I was already disciplined in terms of using much less air, and controlling compression, and leading with the attack and all that sort of thing. Anyway, so this is the thing. People say they like my tangents, so I'm going to leave all of that in. But yeah, so this is the thing: is that when you practice the TCE, we tend to take the reverse approach from what a lot of techniques do, and we will play very staccato, and we'll play very loud. This is mostly because we're trying to build up strength in the tongue. And you're not going to train a muscle unless you exercise it. And so lots of loud staccato playing. It's also helping you to sort of train you to feel the air compression inside your mouth, so that when you then go to play music, you can recognize that that is the correct way to support the sound, and to play for longer without hurting your lip. Quite honestly, that's what it's all about. And so the question then comes, well, how can I play orchestral music? How can I play in a big band one day and then play in a small jazz ensemble the next, with the same equipment, with the same approach to playing? And I have to say, first of all, that the way that we practice TCE, the tongue-controlled embouchure development system, if you want to put it into longer terms, the way that you practice that is basically nothing to do with the way that you practice music. Now, when I had lessons with Barb Civiletti back in like 2017, 2018, we talked quite a bit about taking repertoire that you were learning and turning that repertoire into a physical exercise, turning it into a TCE exercise. And I think that that's a really valid way of tackling the hardest parts of a piece of music. But ultimately, you have to dial it back to being able to play musically. And really, the thing that's sort of come to my mind so much, and especially since I've done a lot of orchestral playing in the last year, is the shape of notes. Now, when you play with a heavy attack, the shape of your notes will could end up being quite triangle shaped. Now, I think the best way to sort of to define what I'm talking about here is, if you imagine a sound wave as a trumpet is being recorded into a piece of or a digital audio workstation or something like that, you tend to get your straight line along the middle, and then your peaks will go in both directions. The further away from the line, the louder the signal. And so a triangle shaped note will have a big attack on the front, and then a taper away like this. A lot of beginner trumpet players will play with sausage-shaped notes, where they're like an even amount of honking from beginning to end, like a and there's no shape to that note. It didn't go ba, it didn't have an attack and then a resonant sort of peak and then a fade. Because this is the thing, is that playing an acoustic instrument, we actually shape our notes to make almost like a fake reverb. And actually, a lot of the time when people try to imitate that effect, what they end up with is a doa, doa, doa sound, which is why we tend to believe that's, a good way to play. The TCE says that a doa, doa, doa sound is a direct result of a faulty technique. It's because you're moving your tongue too much, and the air pressure drops in your mouth after the attack, and so hence that also does the pitch of the note that you've just played. But that doesn't mean that when you play music you should avoid trying to shape it appropriately. And I think that this is the challenge that is presented to somebody who's trying to apply this technique to music. And the point of this video is to say that actually this is the same challenge that every brass instrumentalist has when they are trying to play in any particular style of music, regardless of if you have followed the Claude Gordon method, the systematic approach, or if you have followed the teachings of Donald Reinhardt, or if you have followed somebody who was teaching in the Roy Stevens style. Or maybe the most common thing that exists is teachers just saying that you should stick the tube on your face and blow through it and not think about how to play and not have any understanding of what the tongue does and what the lips do, and just more air, regardless of which place you've come from. The challenge presented to you is exactly the same, and that challenge is, how do I shape a musical phrase appropriately? And that really just brings us back to, let's look at a piece of music and go, well, how would you sing this? If you're singing a piece of big band music, then maybe things are going to be a little bit more sharp and articulate, a little bit more sharp and articulate. So like bap bap bap. But if you're playing the entrance to Pictures and Exhibition, ba ba da da da, then you're going to approach that entirely differently. And it's your job as an instrumentalist to figure out how to do that, how to get that to come out of this piece of pipe. And I would argue that it's got basically nothing to do with what school of technical development you've come through. If you have worked on a technique for a long period of time, then you should have developed the ability to play loud, to play soft, to play long notes, to play short notes, to play high notes, to play loud notes. And I'm not really sure that there's much more to it than that. I think that ultimately any criticism that comes from the outside about the way a technique looks to somebody is going to be a criticism from the perspective of not having done something yourself, not having understood the goals of an exercise or why somebody is working on something in a certain way. But I don't think that you can really judge somebody's playing unless they're trying to perform music and they're saying to you, yes, I have committed significant time and effort to making this musical interpretation sound this way. And so it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what method you've used to get there. And I think that the thing is with the TCE in particular is because we're going head on at the biggest problems that people struggle with as instrumentalists, tone, power, range and endurance, if you like, or note production is probably the terminology that I use the most. Note production, efficiency, stamina. Because we're tackling those things head on, it sounds like we're struggling when we're practicing, but why would you practice things that you can do well? You have to practice the things that are difficult. And yes, somebody might argue that putting your tongue into a certain position does make certain things more difficult. But what I've always said about TCE is it's a whole different set of challenges compared to other approaches to playing. That when you master those challenges, it makes the problems that other people have seem ridiculous. And maybe that needs a little bit further explanation, but I felt that way for a really long time, is that when I look at players struggling to play, I just think, well, that could, that problem shouldn't exist. And it doesn't exist. And the reason it does exist is because you basically haven't been told how your instrument works, or you haven't thought about what your tongue is supposed to be doing. And that's not, that's not ideological. It's about, it's about the fact that if you look at a piano, you've got buttons and you press the buttons and the sounds come out. There's not much of a mystery there. Whereas you look at this thing, and yeah, you can say that pushing these things changes the length of tube and gives you a different set of harmonics that you can excite by adjusting the air pressure and whatnot. And it's like all of a sudden we're already talking about nonsense that people can't really comprehend. And even when you understand scientifically about the lip vibrating in sympathy with the air column and all that business, it's still not answering the questions of how. How do I make that thing sing? And so, yeah, there we go. Okay, so little tangenty at the end. I know that it's just the way things are. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please, any questions, stick them in the comments below. And yeah, just keep practicing music. Keep listening to great players and imitating their sound. And I think I might just do a little like putty thing here. Thanks for watching.